Have you listened to any of the various songs contained within Zombies and wondered if there was some underlying meaning beneath it all? Of course you have. After all, we are a community of overanalyzers, aren't we? In today's video, we'll be doing just that, analyzing the song Shockwave, written by Kevin Sherwood and sung by Elena Siegman for the Zombies map, Classified. The first question is, who does the singer represent? The common assumption with songs sung by Elena Siegman is that they are from the perspective of Samantha Maxis. However, I'm going to provide evidence that Shockwave is rather from Ultimus Richtofen's perspective. Ultimus Richtofen's journey mirrors the tragical history of Dr. Faustus. In this story, a doctor gives up his soul to the devil in exchange for power. Then, in the end, Dr. Faustus realizes his error as he is sent to hell at the end of his life. You can actually see a poster for a film based on this story in none other than Kino der Toten. Here the singer describes time and the cycle itself as being similar to the moon. It's round, constantly spinning, and has a dark and light side. This dark and light duality is a major theme throughout the song, and for that matter, throughout all of Ether. Ultimus Richtofen is telling his Primis self that Agartha, or quote-unquote Dreamland, is impossible to reach due to the nature of the cycle. Both of them want to reach Agartha, Ultimus Richtofen seeking power and Primis Richtofen seeking safety, but they will always fail in their attempts to do so. The mention of Dreamland also fits well within Classified, since the ultimate goal of Ultimus in the map is to reach Groom Lake, or Dreamland, as it is nicknamed. Primis and Ultimus are constantly following one another in a circle, representing the duality of the universe. Light and dark, keepers and apothecons, Monty and the Shadow Man, or the Shadow Man and Monty, depending on your perspective of that dichotomy. Ultimus Richtofen is the darker, more outwardly evil shadow of his other self, always following and still always part of Primis Richtofen. This shadow casts darkness over everything that Primis Richtofen tries to bring to light, and all the knowledge that he has attained. He can't escape his own influence. These lyrics describe the rising of Primis Richtofen's light, cleansing his soul, which becomes Eddie in the house. This is contrasting Ultimus' darkness. Remember this idea, as these lyrics will be reversed later on. Richtofen wants everyone to hear his name due to his ego. His mind is quote-unquote rarefied or made richer by knowledge. For Primis, it is the Chronorium, and for Ultimus, it is what he hears from the voices of the ether. Deicide is the killing of gods or godlike beings. So in this instance, it may be referring to Ultimus, Primis, and Samantha as they seek to defeat Dr. Monty. Monty's plan in maintaining the cycle is a war of attrition, or a war that lasts until one side's resources are depleted. In this case, the passage of time causes the quote-unquote war to worsen as both sides become more and more corrupted, including Monty himself. It is inevitable that this war must end with Monty's death. As said in an earlier line of Shockwave, time takes us all away. These lyrics describe the transition between Ultimus and Primis, and back again. Primis Richtofen's new way dawns like the sun rising over darkness, but once again, the new day ends, and the night returns. The phrase, our way, alludes to Richtofen's favorite song, My Way.
Richthofen's favorite song is My Way. He wonders when he will get to sing it.
I'll be the tragedy I stage your life on.
You really should try to calm down, Edward. You're a bit dramatic.
Dramatic? Oh, me? My life is practically a Shakespearean tragedy.
Ultimus Richtofen describes his life as a tragedy. He grew up an orphan, but became the famous scientist he always wanted to be, only to be corrupted and damned by the Apothicons. He completely lost his mind and caused the destruction of the Earth. And essentially, this tragedy sets the stage for Primis Richtofen's life to redeem these actions.
You're turning pages that you're meant to wait on the big throne of days gone by.
Primis Richtofen reads the Chronorium, finding out his own future ahead of time. He thinks the Chronorium has told him how to change his fate, but it actually is his fate. The pages of the book will tell what will happen and what has happened again and again.
Your work and mine in time.
And finally, in Classified, Primis and Ultimus worlds collide. Before, they each operated separately on opposite ends of the cycle. Now, they stand together. Again, the song says in time, implying this was inevitable in this war of attrition. This is a reversal of the earlier phrase, I'm floating up into the bright air, light sanctified. Now, Ultimus Richtofen once again returns as the lead after Primis Richtofen fails, quite literally floating up into the moonlight as he enters the MPD. This is also thematically appropriate for Classified as it represents the next iteration of the cycle from the one experienced in Black Ops 3.
I feel the pain just like a shockwave. I'm demonized and evil twin like noon at midnight. Turn endlessly, I break away just like a shockwave.
I Feel the Pain references a similar phrase in the song The Gift, which may be a view of the cycle from Primis Richtofen's perspective. Ultimus Richtofen is like the evil twin, the midnight to Primis Richtofen's noon, and they are in a constant back and forth. He says, I break away, implying his being cast aside as Primis Richtofen takes over.
Where do we run in place and fall from grace and change our fates is such a wasted way to want.
Richtofen is lamenting the cycle. He can see that nothing is changing and all their efforts are wasted as they only end up perpetuating it.
When what we will, when's what we want, and now we don't know what we don't know, and we won't know what we don't and won't see.
Actions that Richtofen believes to be his will, such as Richtofen's grand scheme or the Blood Vials plan, seem successful, but actually nothing is won and the cycle starts again. They win the battle which they themselves will never see the end of. Richtofen can no longer rely on his own knowledge, as it has deceived him. He knows he won't know what he doesn't see, as in, he cannot know what he does not read in the book or see from within the ether. He also won't know what he won't see, because we see that Richtofen's ego prevents him from making the sacrifice necessary to end this cycle.
What's floating up into our blind eyes? Red entropy, it stabs me cold, just like a shockwave.
The answer to the end of the cycle has been right in front of them, but they won't accept it. Entropy is the measure of randomness. To rend is to tear apart or split. One could interpret this to describe Richtofen, a character who causes chaos everywhere he goes, who is split into two beings. The truth stabs Richtofen when he does not expect it, specifically in Blood of the Dead. Primis Richtofen forces himself to be sacrificed. This is the only way. The use of Shockwave throughout the song may imply that this moment in Blood of the Dead is the culmination of many events leading up to it, like Primis Richtofen freezing himself in Alcatraz, the Shadow Man's trap set in Alcatraz, and the weasels breaking up the cycle. It will continue to have a rippling effect leading all the way to the events of Tag der Toten. Ultimus Richtofen smiles, one last evil grin, acquiring Victus blood for Primis Richtofen before being left behind. He falls again once Monty orders Primis Richtofen to acquire his eternal soul from a dimension 2210, and Monty then wipes away the other Richtofens by the end of Revelations. Richtofen will always be there to return someday. His soul is literally bound to the ether after creating the elemental shard. His ultimate self will continue to cause chaos and create shockwaves because it is his role in the cycle. This concludes our analysis of Shockwave. Go support Kevin Sherwood's YouTube channel and share your own thoughts and interpretation with us in the comments. Talk to you guys next time.